Well, good morning. Welcome back to our daily devotion. This morning we'll be looking at Psalm number 43. Remember, if you were with us on Tuesday, hopefully you do remember, Psalm 43 is really just the third stanza of a song that began in Psalm 42. Originally, the two went together. And so, just for the sake of remembrance, let's look back at Psalm 42 first. If you look at Psalm 42, verse 1, as a deer pants for the flowing streams, so my soul pants for you. Psalm 42, verses 1 through 5, introduced this song. They're really the first stanza, if you will, the first verse. And we see that as it ends there in verse 5 with the statement, "Why are you cast down, O my soul? Why are you in turmoil within me? Hope in God, for I shall again praise him, my salvation and my God." If you go down a little bit further, verse 6, the rest of verse 6 begins the next verse or the next stanza, and it runs all the way down through verse 11, where again the phrase is repeated. "Why are you cast down, O my soul, and why are you in turmoil within me? Hope in God, for I shall again praise him and my salvation and my God." Now, Psalm 43 this morning begins the third verse. It begins with "Vindicate me, O God," and then ends with verse 5, "Why are you cast down, O my soul, and why are you in turmoil within me? Hope in God, for I shall again praise him, my salvation and my God." And so they're one song. We broke it up this way because that's how our English Bibles break them up. We also wouldn't have had enough time on Tuesday to go all the way through all the stanzas of this one song. But let's remember what we've seen, the situation, separation from God, physical, away from the temple, unable to go and worship, to make his sacrifices, to offer his praises, longing, desiring for that relationship with God to be restored soon, and the idea that we've got to hope it in God in the meantime. So let's look at Psalm number 43. Let's start at verse 1. Go ahead and read all the way through, and then kind of look at a few highlights as we go down. "Vindicate me, O God, and defend my cause against an ungodly people. From the deceitful and unjust man, deliver me. For you are the God in whom I take refuge. Why have you rejected me? Why do I go out mourning because of the oppression of my enemy? Send out your light and your truth. Let them lead me. Let them bring me to your holy hill and to your dwelling. Then I will go to the altar of God, to God my exceeding joy, and I will praise you with a lyre, O God, my God. Why are you cast down, O my soul, and why are you in turmoil within me? Hope in God, for I shall again praise him, my salvation and my God." And so here we are, picking up that third stanza. He's away. He's longing for God, the first verse. He's in the midst of his enemies who mock him and challenge him. Where is your God that you keep calling out to, who doesn't seem to be answering? Why do you believe in this God who doesn't seem to answer your prayer and deliver you from this situation? In our case, it might be health or wealth. It might be something related to family or work. And yet your neighbors, your friends, those who know you claim to be a Christian wonder, why do you maintain your faith? Remember the story of Job and his situation and how even his own wife mocked him for his continued faith in spite of his circumstances. Why? Very often it's easy for us to put on a strong front when people challenge us that way. "Oh, I've got faith." But when we're left alone in the dark of the night, those hours between, say, 11 and 6 o'clock in the morning, when you can't sleep, when you lie there in bed and you're looking at the ceiling and you're wondering, can you make it? Will you make it? Where is God? Does he even care? Do you even believe anymore? The psalmist says, hope in God. So verse 1, "Vindicate me, O God, and defend my cause. Help me, answer me, deliver me against an ungodly people," people who are outside the covenant, people who don't know the relationship of God. They mock, they attack, they challenge. "Deliver me against them," he says, "from a deceitful and unjust man." The ones who are antithetical, anti-God, anti-Christian, anti-biblical worldview. They're all around us. Many don't care about us, they ignore us. But sometimes in your life, there's one who just wants to dig at you, who wants to gig you, as the old saying is, to see if you're going to respond in faith or whether you'll lash out in anger. How will you do it? The psalmist is wanting to know, where is God? I'm standing strong. I'm trying to maintain my faith. Are you with me or are you against me? Because he says in verse 2, "You are the God in whom I take refuge." You're the one I've turned to. You're the one that is the possessor of my faith, the origin of my hope. Where are you? He says in verse 2. Why have you rejected me? I'm faithful. I'm trying to remain faithful. Remember, he's right here praying or singing. So he's trying to maintain a relationship with God in the midst of God's silence during these circumstances. Why do I go about mourning? Because of the oppression of my enemy. Why, Lord, have you not responded and rescued me yet? But he doesn't lose hope. That's one of the features of these lament psalms, where they bemoan their situation. They complain honestly and openly with God. They always maintain their faith, and there's always an expression of faith in them. The belief that God is listening, that God will answer, and that God will deliver. Look at verse 3 and notice the prayer now. He's asked in verse 2, where are you? But verse 3 says, I still believe you're there. Send out your light and your truth. Now think how many times in the New Testament Jesus claims, I am the light of the world, or I am the truth. He says, send them out, send them to me, and lead me. Let them lead me home. The picture here is being away from God. You're in the dark. You're overwhelmed. You're lost on the path. But if God sends his light, when God sends his truth, he'll make straight the path, and he'll make level the way. And so here it is. Send it to me, Lord. Let them lead me. But specifically, where does he want to be led? Let them bring me to your holy hill, to Mount Zion, to Jerusalem, to the location of the eternal throne of the King that God is going to establish, and to your dwelling. Bring me back to the temple. Bring me back to your house. Bring me back into your presence. That's what he's desiring. Then he says, when you bring me back, what's the first thing he's going to do? I'll go to the altar of God. I'll go to the temple. I'll go to the altar. To God, my exceeding joy. See, it's not just the altar. He's not just got faith that, I've got to go make my sacrifice. That'll make it all better. He wants to go to the altar because he wants to worship God there. Again, it's the symbolism of the temple and the relationship with God. His desire is not to go through the motions, to get up and go to church because it's Sunday morning, because that's what we have to do. His desire is to go to church because there he can encounter the living God and praise him. I'll go to the altar, to my God, my exceeding joy, and I'll praise you with the lyre, with the stringed instrument, O God, my God. He can't wait to get back, not to be restored to health, not to be restored to wealth, not to be restored to power. He can't wait to get back to God. And then comes our refrain, the wrap up of the 5 verses here, just like we saw twice now in Psalm 42. In light of that hope, in light of the desire, the conviction, the belief that God will in fact rescue him and will one day bring him home, whenever that might be, we get the refrain, why are you cast down, O my soul? Why are you letting your circumstances this morning, Doorway, bring you down? Why is there turmoil within me, he asks. Why do you beat yourself up? Why do you let the situation drag you down and beat you down? Instead, the alternative is far better. Instead, he says, hope in God. Don't hope in the government. Don't hope in your insurance. Don't hope in the bank. All those things are important things that God has given us as means of grace, common grace, things that he's given to even sinful humanity for their benefit and well-being. But he says, no, hope in God, for I shall again, one day, maybe not yet, maybe not tomorrow, but one day I shall again praise him. That's our hope. That's our conviction. That's our belief. My salvation and my God. One day God will restore us, whether in this lifetime or as Jesus promised, for certain in eternity. There's a house that he's gone to prepare for us, a place. And where he's gone, he'll come back that he might take us, that we might be with him for all of eternity. That's our hope. We live it in a small way today as we gather on Sundays to worship. But our hope lies in God's eternal abiding presence. That's our hope. He who is our salvation and our God, may he send us the light, and may he send us the truth to sustain us until then.